It was supposed to be a weekend of relaxation and fun for the group of friends who had rented a boat for a trip on the lake. But what started out as a peaceful adventure quickly turned into a nightmare they would never forget. The sun was shining bright and the lake was calm as the group set off on their journey. There were 6 of them in total, all close friends who had known each other since high school. There was Kate, the adventurous one who would convince the group to rent the boat. Mike, the joker who always kept everyone laughing. Emily, the quiet and reserved one who loved to read. John, the responsible one who always had a plan. X, the athlete who loved to show off his skills. And Rachel, the party girl who never wanted the fun to end. As they sailed across the lake, they stopped at various points to swim, sunbathe, and have some drinks. They were having a great time, laughing and joking around, completely oblivious to what was lurking beneath the surface of the water. It wasn't until nightfall that things started to take a turn for the worse. They had anchored the boat near the shore and were getting ready to settle in for the night when they heard a strange noise coming from the water. At first they thought it was just a fish jumping out of the water, but then they heard it again, and this time it was louder. Mike, always the brave one, decided to investigate. He grabbed a flashlight and shone it over the side of the boat, but couldn't see anything in the darkness. Just as he was about to give up and go back to the others, something grabbed onto the others. Something grabbed onto the side of the boat. At first, they all thought it was just a branch or some seaweed caught on the boat, but then they saw the tentacles. They were slimy and covered in suckers, and they were slowly pulling the boat towards the water. The group tried to pull away, but it was no use. Whatever was holding onto the boat was too strong. They could hear the sound of something slithering in the water, and then they saw it. It was a giant squid, easily the size of the boat, and it was hungry. The squid wrapped its tentacles around the boat, squeezing it tighter and tighter. The group was trapped with no way to escape. They could feel the boat starting to buckle under the pressure, and they knew it was only a matter of time before it broke apart. As the boat started to sink, the group was thrown into the water. They tried to swim to shore, but the squid was too fast. It was grabbing onto them one by one, pulling them under the water and drowning them. Kate was the first to go. She had always been a strong swimmer, but the squid was too much for her. It wrapped its tentacles around Kate's waist and pulled her under, crushing her and filling her lungs with water. Mike tried to save her, but it was too late. He watched in horror as the squid dragged her body into the darkness. Emily was next. She tried to swim to shore, but the squid grabbed her leg and pulled her underwater. She struggled with all her might, but it was no use. The squid was too strong, and soon Emily was gone. John tried to help her, but before he could reach her, he was caught by the tentacles. She screamed in terror as the squid pulled her under and left her to drown. Alex was the last to go. He tried to fight the squid with all his strength, but it was too much for him. He watched in horror as the squid pulled him deeper into the water. Rachel was the only one left. She tried frantically to swim towards the shore, but the squid was closing in on her. She could see its massive tentacles looming behind her, and she knew she was running out of time. Just when she thought it was all over, she saw something glinting in the water. It was a harpoon, and it was heading straight for the squid. Rachel watched in amazement as the harpoon struck the squid, causing it to release its grip on her. She swam as fast as she could towards shore, not daring to look back. When she finally made it to safety, she collapsed onto the sand, gasping for air and trembling with fear. It wasn't until morning that the authorities arrived to investigate what had happened. They found the wreckage of the boat, but there was no sign of the bodies. They searched the lake for days, but they never found them. Years went by, and the incident was forgotten. But every now and then, a fisherman would report seeing something strange in the water. They would talk about tentacles and giant creatures, but no one ever believed them. Rachel never forgot what happened that night. She never went near the water again, and she never spoke of the incident to anyone. But deep down, she knew the truth. There was something lurking in the depths of that lake, something ancient and terrifying, and it was still out there waiting for its next victim. Years passed, and the legend of the giant squid lurking in the lake continued to grow. Fishermen and boaters reported strange sightings and unexplained disappearances, but no one knew for sure what was causing them. One day, a group of scientists arrived at the lake to investigate the reports of the giant squid. They set up equipment to study the water, hoping to find evidence of the creature's existence. As they analyzed the samples they had collected, they discovered something terrifying. The water was contaminated with a strange substance that had never been seen before. It was a toxic chemical that was causing mutations in the creatures that lived in the lake. The scientists realized that the giant squid was not a myth after all. It was a real creature that had been mutated by the toxic chemicals in the water, making it grow to an enormous size and giving it the ability to grab onto boats and pull them under. The scientists knew they had to act fast. They contacted the authorities and warned them of the danger lurking in the lake. They urged them to close the lake and stop the contamination before it was too late. But the authorities ignored their warnings. They refused to believe that such a creature could exist, and they didn't want to cause a panic among the public. It wasn't until a family of tourists went missing on the lake that the authorities finally took action. They sent a team of divers to investigate, but they were no match for the giant squid. One by one, they were grabbed by its tentacles and dragged under the water. As the situation grew more desperate, Rachel emerged from the shadows. She knew the truth about the giant squid, and she knew that it was up to her to stop it. Rachel gathered a group of brave volunteers and set out on a mission to destroy the giant squid once and for all. They armed themselves with harpoons and diving gear, ready to face the monster head on. As they approached the creature, the giant squid attacked, grabbing one of the divers and pulling him under. But Rachel and the others fought back with all their strength, harpooning the creature and causing it to retreat. For hours they battled the giant squid, fighting for their lives. They harpooned it over and over again, causing it to bleed and thrash in the water. But it was a fierce opponent, and it wasn't until Rachel landed the killing blow that the creature finally went down. As the giant squid sank to the bottom of the lake, the water turned red with its blood. Rachel and the others emerged from the water victorious, but they knew that the battle had only just begun. They worked tirelessly to clean up the lake and remove the toxic chemicals that had caused the giant squid's mutation. It was a long and difficult process, but eventually they succeeded. The lake was reopened, and the community was finally able to enjoy it once again. But Rachel knew that they would never forget the horror that had occurred there. The legend of the giant squid would live on, a reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of the water. If you like my story, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video for more and similar stories.